So, have you ever looked at your career path and thought, this looks less like a path and more like a random collection of things I got really into for a while? Yeah. If your life feels like a graveyard of abandoned hobbies, then trust me, you're in the right place. In this explainer, we're going to take that jack of all trades feeling, that sense of career panic, and flip it on its head. We're going to show you how to turn it into your single greatest strength. I mean, does this hit close to home? That feeling of looking back and seeing this trail of projects that you started with so much passion, so much energy, only to see them, well, unfinished. It is such a common story, right? But the thing is, it's a story that's so often misunderstood, not just by other people, but, and this is the important part, by ourselves. Okay, so maybe for you it's not literally 3 half-finished degrees. Maybe it's that guitar gathering dust on the corner, or that coding course you bought that's still at 10% completion, or, that Notion database just packed with a dozen brilliant business ideas that are, well, they're just sitting there. This whole thing, it's called the dilettante's dilemma, and it comes with this really specific, really intense feeling. And that anxiety, it actually has a name. It's called intellectual shame. It's that nagging voice in the back of your head, the one that tells you you're unfocused, that your curiosity isn't a gift, it's a liability, that you're a failure because you didn't just pick one thing and dedicate the next 40 years of your life to it. But here's the big question. What if that voice in your head is just completely fundamentally wrong? Okay, so this is where everything changes. This is our pivot. The problem isn't you. It isn't your focus. The problem is this totally outdated myth of the hyper-specialist. See, you're not unfocused. You are what the source material calls multimodally saturated. It's a cool term, right? It means you're wired differently. You're built to process and connect huge ideas across fields that seem to have nothing to do with each other. That old narrow path, it was never, ever meant for you. I absolutely love this metaphor, a 240p cage. It's such a perfect way to think about that traditional career path, isn't it? I mean, just picture a 240p video. It's blurry, it's low res, you can't see any of the crucial details. Well, a single-track career in today's world can be just as restrictive. See, the whole point is this. You were never supposed to be just a single, lonely pillar. You were meant to be the bridge, the thing that connects them all. And here's why this matters so much right now. We live in what cognitive scientists call wicked environments. And yeah, they're as chaotic as they sound. Think about trying to launch a startup today. The tech changes, the market shifts, your competition is doing something new every week. The rules of the game are constantly changing. Sure, in a stable, predictable world, the specialist is great. But in a wicked world, adaptability is king. All right, so let's break this down and put these two paths side by side. On one hand, you've got the I-shaped specialist. They're a master of what's called near transfer. That's basically applying a skill to a really similar problem, like a programmer who learns a new coding language that's almost the same as the one they already know. But then you have the M-shaped polymath, the bridge. You excel at far transfer, and that is something completely different. It's the rare, almost magical ability to connect deeply different ideas. And that, my friends, is your superpower in this wild, wicked world. Okay, so we've just totally dismantled that old specialist myth, right? We see it for what it is, a 240p cage. And by doing that, we've cleared the path. We can finally see your true strength. We've torn down the old idea that was holding you back. So now we build. Let's build the new framework that's going to propel you forward. And it all starts with understanding the core advantage you've had all along. So this far transfer thing, it isn't just a neat little skill. The source material literally calls it your biological superpower. It's the ability to see what's called the 8K architecture of a field, the deep underlying patterns, and apply it somewhere completely different. For instance, maybe you can see the patterns in a musical symphony, the rhythm, the cycles, the buildup, and then you apply that exact same pattern to predict trends in the stock market. That's it. You're seeing the hidden high-resolution structure that almost everyone else completely misses. And you know what? We can actually quantify this. We can break this superpower down into a formula. And this little equation here, it takes that vague feeling of I'm good at connecting things and turns it into a crystal clear concept. Your unique value in the world isn't just about how deep you go in one skill. No, it's about how you combine deep pillars of knowledge and, this is the secret sauce, how you reduce the synthesis friction between them. Okay, let's pull that apart for a second. Your pillars? Those are just your areas of deep knowledge, the things you've really dug into. Synthesis friction?
Think of that as this invisible wall that stops most people from seeing how two different fields connect. But here's the absolute key. You are the one who can lower that friction. You are the one who can combine, say, data science and storytelling, or engineering and psychology. And when you do that, you become what they call a unique node in the market. You create value that no single-minded specialist could ever even dream of.
Okay, I get it. Becoming a unique node, lowering synthesis friction, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Like, what are the steps? Well, this is where we get super practical. We're going to move from being a dash-shaped dabbler, an inch deep and a mile wide, to becoming a true multi-pillar architect. And that, my friend, requires a whole new strategy. All right, first things first, we have got to talk about a word that has probably caused you a ton of grief. The word quitting, right? Every time you've pivoted, every time you've moved on to something new, you've probably called it that, and you felt that awful sting of failure. Well, no more. It's time to reclaim that word, to reclaim that act, and see it for the powerful, strategic move that it actually is. So here it is. Here's the new frame. You're not quitting. You are making a strategic graduation. This isn't giving up. This is a conscious, deliberate choice to move from one pillar of knowledge to the next. And why would you do that? Because you've done the work, you've extracted the core patterns, and now you're ready to combine them with something new to create something even more valuable. And this becomes your new mantra. It's a simple 3-part cycle. Master, pivot, synthesize. That's it. First, you dive deep. You master a domain. Then, you intentionally pivot to a new one. And finally, you create absolute magic by synthesizing the knowledge from both. Now, this is super important. When I say mastery, I do not mean you have to become the #1 expert on planet Earth. No way. The goal is to hit what we'll call the 80% mastery threshold. This just means you get fluent enough to see the deep fundamental principles of the field, those 8K patterns we talked about. It's like understanding the physics of a subject, not just memorizing a bunch of formulas. And once you've decoded those patterns, you graduate. This is so key because it stops perfectionism from trapping you in one pillar for the rest of your life. So hitting that 80% mark and then strategically graduating, that is a powerful idea. But let's be real. How do you actually repeat that process over and over to build multiple pillars without completely burning out? That's where the serial mastery protocol comes in. This is it. This is the concrete 4-step action plan for building your M-shaped career. All right, let's walk through these 4 steps. Step 1, the 18-month pillar. Simple. You pick one big load-bearing interest, and you commit to it for about 18 months, long enough to get to that 80% fluency. Step 2, the patent clerk anchor. Just like Einstein did at the patent office, you keep a stable day job. Why? It gives you financial security, it takes the pressure off, and lets you explore freely. Step 3, the Zettelkasten archive. You've got to build an external brain. A Zettelkasten is just a fancy name for a system to capture and connect your ideas. So when you graduate from a pillar, you don't lose all that knowledge. It's archived, ready for you to synthesize it later. And finally, step 4, labeling the pivot. This one is all about the psychology of making the move, and it's incredibly powerful. And this right here, this is your new internal script for that final step. So when you feel that old familiar urge to move on to something new, instead of feeling guilty, this is what you say to yourself. You declare it. I have decoded the 8K patterns. I am now graduating to the next pillar to increase my synthesis value. See the difference? This isn't a random whim. This is a calculated, strategic move. You are literally, actively architecting your own value. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important reframe of all. We have to stop asking that old paralyzing question, which path is the right one? Because that question assumes there's only one right answer, and if you get it wrong, you've failed. Instead, we're going to start asking a new, much more powerful question. Which pillar provides the most stability for my next exploration? This question changes everything. It assumes you will explore. It assumes you will build. And it frames your knowledge as a launch pad, not a cage. This, right here, is the true foundation for a lifetime of serial mastery.